Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross here as usual. And we got a guest coming on in a little bit. And we got lots of stuff to talk about, Adam. And it is darn near close to racing season. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. I was a little late looking up at the camera because I was listening to our intro, but I was listening to our intro on YouTube instead of the feed, which is what maybe like you're only 3 or 4 seconds behind us. Crap. So I muted the YouTube so I could hear our feed, which is just in time to hear you start talking. I've always got something. Like there's always something right off the top that distracts me, and then I get back to my laser focus.
My problem is my auxiliary computer is over here when I should really set up everything on this side. So when I look at my computer, I look like I'm looking at you instead of looking like I don't care what you have to say.
You don't care what I have to say.
Oh man, we've had some good ones this week.
Maybe just another week. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to the time when it matters. So the arguments are much more relevant than they've been for the last couple of months. You know what I mean? Because it's go time. June 19th, baby. We're on the air.
Now I'm going to owe you some cash. I don't know about that, but anyways, let's jump in. As always, everyone, this is your show as well. We want to hear what you want us to talk about. We want to hear your questions, comments, anything you want. We'll do our best to follow along with the comments on the YouTube message board as well. And my YouTube is all messed up. I don't know what I did, but we'll figure that out. Anyways, first up, Adam, Ontario Government Communications. It's a story we've been following for a while. It just seems to stay at the top of the rundown from week to week, and we add refresh stuff. So as we get close to the next step of opening, there's been a few questions as to what everyone's interpretation in the racing world was about crew limitations and stuff like that in step one. Well, in our promoter's email, this came out yesterday. So show the screenshot I sent you, Spencer. And this was sent by, I think it was JP from Peterborough to the group. And Alex Nagy actually said, what does everybody make of this? And, so it's outdoor horse racing tracks, car tracks, and other similar venues may open for training facilities if they comply with the following conditions. 1, no members of the public are permitted at the venue. And 2, only persons who are essential to the training or racing operation of the venue are permitted. So, Adam, what do you take from that?
See, we had heard inklings from Mark Rinaldi over the winter that if there were still great restrictions going on, things were going to get tighter than they were last year. Not in the terms of allowing fewer people, but everyone who is allowed into a facility has to be there to serve a purpose, right?
Yeah.
So last year was 5 people per car. Some cars only needed 2 people, but they brought 5 anyhow. 3 of them were spectators. In this framework, a spectator doesn't belong, and they don't want spectators, or you have to be a part of the active crew. And that's only for this short time period until we get into the reopening phases. But I think what it means is no casual observers.
Yeah, and that's kind of where, Mark Rinaldi's kind of been the leader of all this action going on with the government and the communications. I was just looking up my email there. Basically, a lot of the promoters saying they're doing the same thing what they did last year, driver up to 4 crew. That's what's going on. Mark Rinaldi's response was, he agreed. The only thing he cautioned, and one of the other promoters alluded to it, the word, quote, essential crew. And we didn't have the word essential crew last year. So, promoters may be questioned and need to justify why someone is considered essential for the crew of that car. So he quotes as bringing your 2-year-old to part of the races to bring them to the pits. You could be in a bad position if you're left in that spot. So that's just kind of where we are. We start to hash things out as we get closer and closer to actually getting back to racing. So we are on the right path, Adam, but it's kind of still been a gray area for the promoters to figure out what they can and can't do. No, everybody wants to play by the rules, or we would all be open already. So we just want clear direction on what's allowed and where we can be. So I know we always follow this up into 2 groups because of our association with Ushweek, and we've got the Ontario promoters and what's going on at the Big O. My next conference with them is next Tuesday. Hopefully have more news before we come on the air here with regards to our Ushweek, but we are still very optimistic. Fran Bouchard, one of our longtime viewers from Buffalo, sent us a email today, or me a text, I should say, with a voicemail message of a recording. And I don't know if we can really play it. We probably shouldn't, Spencer, but it was giving indication, Adam, that the Canadian border, as long as 70% of Ontario had the first and 20% had the second, after June 22nd, they would look at opening the border. And this was a quoted Mayor Jim Diodati here from Niagara Falls, New Ontario, from about 10 minutes from me, on the Canadian side of the border, said that, the provincial and federal government have had meetings with all the border town mayors in the past couple of weeks to talk about reopening. So that gives hope to a lot of our cross-border fans. That has bearing on, whether we can hold the Canadian Spring National this weekend, what, other places can do as well, depending on how the border goes. So that's optimistic too, Adam.
Yeah, and we had seen some documentation, Clint, come across. And folks, if you're wondering why this stuff doesn't get shared more readily, it's because it is so sketchy. We've seen a lot of numbers and bullshit get passed around. It doesn't do anyone any favors. When you see the same thing recurring in different messages, and I've seen that June 22nd date passed around a couple of times, I'm not super confident about that, because what we're seeing, Canada, we were so far behind in vaccinations. Now we're actually ahead of the charge in initial doses, and we're not quite there when it comes to fully vaccinated people yet. But it's such a fluid situation. You see what's going on in the States. They're bribing people with beer, with a draw for $1 million to get their vaccinations, first and second doses, and get it done. So it's constantly moving.
We're getting there. Kevin Ridley's going to join us. He's next on the rundown, but I don't think he's quite here yet. He'll be with us in a few minutes. Kevin is, we'll tell his story a bit further, but we know him through iRacing and the Dirt Sportsman ranks in New York. He's now working with the SRX group. So we're going to talk to him about that inside thing. And, you and I were discussing today, Adam, getting Kevin is a big get for us. We're fortunate that he got the job because it gives us an insider right inside this brand new series and kind of gives us somebody we know who we can kind of pick the brain of, So we'll talk to Kevin shortly. Moving along.
Yeah.
Well, once again, welcome everybody for watching. We appreciate you coming out. Let us know who you want to see on the show or who you'd like to have us talk to, and we'd be happy to go out and get them. But we're getting close to racing, Adam, and the GeForce TV schedule is coming out. We've got a new promo that's going to air right now on the show. It'll be its new debut. We'll watch that, and then we'll talk about what's coming up on GeForce TV and all the racing that's going to kick off this month. Roll it, Spence.
GeForce TV is ready to bring you all the action in the coming weeks.
I don't know what happened there.
What's funny is I'm trying to sit here with a straight face because we had this meeting a month ago. It was another one of our arguments of distorted voices, which is something that we've done over time with different promos. And sometimes it sounds good, and sometimes it sounds like a monster truck commercial. I said, yeah, can we get away from the distorted voice, for the next little bit? Maybe it'll come back at some point. So when I heard that, I'm like, holy shit, that's distorted in like 4 directions.
You're trying to fix it, or you did fix it, Spencer? Spencer, while you're talking here, what's it going to take to get you to just chime in on the show? We have to relay what you say to us. Can we $1 million? All right. Anyways,
Baba Booey.
I used to panic when that happened, but now we got the wizard behind the curtain, so I'm thinking, all right, he's going to fix it or pull it down. Either way, he says he's going to look into getting that one sorted out. It's hot off the press. I mean, it just got to Spencer about 10 minutes ago from the production lab, so not sure where we lost it in translation. Anyways, can we move on, Spencer, and play the printed schedule then? So we have been in dealing with some corporations, Adam, and Quick is the new one who we want to welcome to the GeForce platform. We'll be talking to Frank or Dave from Quick, hopefully here next week, get them on to talk about a few things. This is our upcoming schedule. We kick things off with the APC late models. Obviously, that's at the top. We've got all 8 of their stops on the card. Then we move down. We've got the GeForce live TV schedule. So, Adam, our crew is going to be very busy this summer, tooling all over, checking out all these awesome races and bringing them to everybody.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Have we seen that schedule yet?
I was just going to say, if you read the email that I sent, CC'd all you guys, as I sent it in the proposal to the sponsor, who said they would take it, if you read the email, you would have seen it. But yeah, that's our workload ahead of us. Some of it was Osh weekend, so that would be mixed in with our normal schedule, but a lot of it is out on the road. It's going to be crazy. Let's run our promo video. Spencer says it's good to go.
The 2021 racing season is almost here, and GeForce TV is ready to bring you all the action. In the coming weeks, we have plenty of live short track racing here on GeForce TV. Our live coverage kicks off Saturday, June 19th at Flamborough Speedway. The Pro Late Models headline one of the first full racing programs in the province. The night will also feature the Pure Stocks, Mini Stocks, Super Stocks, and the Canadian Vintage Modifieds. Saturday, June 26th, it's time to get dirty. The Knights of Thunder 360 Sprint Car Series brings its first ever event to the newly reconfigured and rebranded Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. They will be joined by Mini Mods, Thunder Stocks, and the UMP Modifieds and Late Models. Friday, July 2nd, the APC United Racing Series Late Models roar into the always fast and tough Delaware Speedway for their first event of the 2021 season. Last year, the action on the tour was wild, and this will be a must-see event. It will also mark the inaugural event for the Quick Wick Firestarter Super Stock Series. The very next night, Saturday, July 3rd, we head to the north shore of Lake Ontario as the Knights of Thunder charge east to Brighton Speedway. Racing alongside the sprint cars will be Late Models, Mini Stocks, Thunder Stocks, and the Canadian Modifieds. Don't miss a lap. Catch all this action free and live on GeForce TV. Subscribe today for free at GeForceTV.net.
Lots of action coming up, Adam.
I'm tired. I got tired watching that. I was. You know, it's funny. I forget what song I was listening to on the radio, but I listened to a lot of classic rock driving down the road. I'm thinking, man, I really like this song. It's got a driving beat, right? Just like the music that you picked for that video. It's got a good driving beat. Get you pumped up.
The hard part about it is that's probably one of the hardest things about editing videos, getting the right groove. You know, we test drove a few things there. I see Kevin Ridley's joining us. One more thing before we get to Kevin. Let's talk about our GeForce TV merchandise. We have all kinds of new merch that's going to be coming out in the coming weeks. We'll be ready for it at Flamborough. So if you're out there at Flamborough, plan on coming and see us. We got some new hat designs. Show those, Spencer. So we got some new hats coming, which is going to be awesome, and a new T-shirt design, the one of two that we know of for sure that's coming. Tune in, buckle up, GeForce TV. I really like that shirt. Can't wait to get my hands on it. The other thing is, if you're interested in a GeForce TV shirt right now, you can go to imagefactor.shop, and it has all our current gear that we have, including T-shirts for ladies, tank tops, T-shirts, stickers, toques, whatever you want. Go check it out at imagefactor.shop, and all that new designs will be up here in the coming weeks. So let's switch gears. Let's welcome our guest now, Kevin Ridley, to the show. Kevin, thanks for being with us. Obviously, you're still new to the SRX program, so we're throwing you into the coals a little bit early here. We should have let you warm up a bit, but thanks for being with us. We know you from the iRacing world and the dirt sportsman world, but you know, what took you to the SRX situation?
Well, I was kind of just sitting home and trying to figure out what my next move was, as COVID kind of ended my job. So drove down to North Carolina just to visit some friends and hang out. And while I was down there, Tony gave me a call and said that the guys needed some help with the shop. So I went over and they asked me when I could start. And I said, well, I got to go back home and get some stuff and I'll come back down. So the next week I was down here working. So about how it started.
So when you say Tony, Tony Stewart?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Tony Stewart, yeah.
He just calls you on the phone? Yo, Kev, we need you.
Oh, actually, I was sitting on his couch in his house when he called me. So, yeah, he called me up from the shop while he was getting fitted in his seat and said those guys could really use a hand. So I went over and talked with them, and here I am.
So talk about the team that Tony has put together. So a big change for you. I mean, working on race cars is working on race cars, but a late model type stock car is a little bit different than what you're used to. But talk about a little bit about the cars, Kevin, but I'm more curious about the other people that you're working with there. Where did he draw them from?
Well, they're just it's a mixed bag, I guess. They're just all great people. Everyone that works at SRX has been great. All hard workers. We've put in a lot of hours. There was a lot of people saying that this couldn't be done, and I guess they proved them all wrong. But everybody at the shop worked really, really, really hard to get to where we are. Right now, I'm sitting in a hotel in Stafford Springs, Connecticut, waiting for our first race this weekend. So, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of people that do a lot of different things. It's not like a NASCAR style team where you have like a brake specialist, a suspension specialist, things like that. Everybody is involved in every different aspect of building the race cars.
So, Kevin, does your role fall into building them, or are you going to be crewing them? I mean, I saw one of your messages on social there right after Helio Castroneves won, and you thought he was going to be your driver for this weekend. That would have been really cool. Now, if we understand, you're with Greg Biffle. So is it a building thing? Obviously, you're going to be crewing this weekend. So it's a full involved program for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So every car gets a car chief. I'm the car chief on the 69 car. Castroneves was supposed to be my driver, but sponsor conflict kind of changed that a little bit. So he got switched around, and now I got paired with Greg Biffle. So looking forward to the race. It should be fun. Can't wait, really.
Now, you and I chatted privately, Kevin, just talking about, hey, congratulations on the move. And then I was kind of poking fun at you, thinking, okay, Tony Stewart's a smart businessman. Obviously, he's not going to go out there and lap the field. And you sort of put me in my place to say, Tony's out there to win. He doesn't care about anything else.
That's right. I mean, at the end of the day, this does need to be a show for the fans. But I don't care who you are. You put that helmet on. It don't matter if you're racing shopping carts. You want to win. I don't care. You put any of them drivers out there, they're going to want to win. So it's a race. At the end of the day, it's a race, no matter who's in it. So it should be fun.
How's it been for you, Kevin, to, put your helmet up on the shelf and crew for somebody else? A lot of drivers talk about how difficult that is. Is that something, obviously you haven't done it too much yet, but is that something you think you're going to transition into well? Is that something that's going to kind of beat you up when you go home at the end of the night thinking, man, I wish I was still in that seat?
Yeah, that's pretty hard. I mean, the guys left to shoot a commercial, and it was hard watching everybody leave to go shoot that commercial with their helmet and fire suits, and I wasn't one of them, but I completely understand why it wasn't. But yeah, it's definitely a transition that's hard to deal with at this point, but I'm sure I'll get through it, and I'll still race. These seasons are going to be short seasons. This season's only a 6-race season, and it's one right after another. So, August we have a week off, so I'll be back up in August, and I'll race a little bit up there in August, and then I'll come back down and continue to work for these guys as long as they need me.
You look like you might have lost a little bit of weight, Kevin. How are things treating you in North Carolina in June?
The Suns treat me like crap. It's brutal. That heat is brutal down here. But yeah, we're doing all right. Just got to adjust to it. It's a little warmer, so we'll get there.
Kev, you were one of the technical guys, who helped out with a lot of the series that we ran on iRacing on the late model and the asphalt side of things. Let's talk about that. Has your iRacing experience and all the time you spent there tweaking those cars, plus your own driving ability on dirt, is that helping at all? Like, for a kid out there iRacing, can you translate what you're learning there into what you're doing in a big time racing job here for Tony Stewart?
You might be able to transfer some of the information that you learn on iRacing from this, but mostly you're going to use your real life experience. These cars are nothing like a cup car. They're coil-over shocks, truck arm car, 3-link. They run a DMI quick change rear end just like we run in our cars. So believe it or not, the rear of the car is more similar to ours than it is like a cup car or anything like that. So I'm thinking just real life racing is going to pay more dividends than anything you'd learn on iRacing.
Do these cars remind you of anything that you've seen, Kevin? Like, how far removed is it from what you would see on a Saturday night at a local short track?
Well, I mean, these cars run a third link, not torque arms like we run on our cars. But a short track asphalt car, they're fairly similar. Yeah, they're like I said, they're really like a late model. They just have a few different things in them. They're built specifically for this series, so there's no car really out there like them at this point. Fury builds the chassis, so yeah, there's nothing like them out there right now. I mean, there's cars that are close, but these are just a little bit different.
Kevin, what's under the hood of them?
So we run the Ilmor engines, that same engine that's in the truck series and the ARCA series. They run them in various different series, but it's definitely the same engine that you'd see in a truck series truck.
Okay, so there's some power there.
Yeah, oh yeah, they definitely run. There's no doubt about that.
Now, do you get much chance? Do you get much chance to talk to Biffle before this weekend? Like, has he come in to lay down the groundwork of how he wants to race, how it's going to be? So
basically, with these cars, this series is similar to like what people would traditionally look at, like the IROC series. There's not many changes the drivers can make. So I haven't seen Greg yet. I'll see him this weekend, obviously. I missed him in the shop when he came in to get fitted for his seat. A few of the drivers I've met at the shop when they came in to get fitted. Yeah, hopefully it all works out and we get along. We should.
Kevin, how is the baseline setup? Like, how's that determined? Are you guys testing these cars ahead of time and then you figure out what's the best baseline? And then are all those cars being brought to that same point and then taken to the Speedway?
Yes. Yep. So Ken Schrader did a lot of the testing for SRX. There's a few other drivers that did a lot as well. So basically it's just a collaboration of everything they came up with and built into the car. And that's what everyone's going to run. There's limited changes the drivers will be able to make. We were actually discussing that on the way down or on the way up. Sorry. So there's not much the driver can do to change his car. There'll be some air pressure adjustments, maybe a spring rubber, but nothing too crazy. So it's basically just mano y mano, I guess.
So what do you do between now and the weekend?
So tomorrow, 7 a.m., we get to the track. We've got it set up. We have 3 6-car haulers and a stacker with 2 cars, and then just our regular transport hauler. So we'll go tomorrow and we'll get to the track. We'll unload. We'll hang banners, things like that. Get our garage area set up, and then just wait for Friday.
Wow, Kev. Let's talk about the format. 12 cars, timed races. As I pull it up here, I'm looking at some of the stuff, how it's going to be. As a traditionalist, let's take yourself out. So they're talking heat race 15 minutes, second heat race 15 minutes, and a feature race of 100 laps. What's your thoughts on timed heats? I mean, it's something we've tried before at Arch Weekend. Something I kind of like it as a traditionalist. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a great format. It's definitely something a little different that people can get into, hopefully. And I think something a little different right now isn't going to hurt. People are kind of used to the same old, and I think it's getting a little stale for some people. So hopefully this will get some more interest, and we can gain some traction with the series and get more races for next year, more cars.
Right on, Kevin. Well, we don't want to keep you. I'm sure the team is probably off somewhere having a beer or two or kicking back there, and we hope you have a lot of fun.
We just got back from that, so I'm good. I can stay as long as you need me to, or as long as you want. But yeah, we're at the hotel now, just chilling out, and gonna relax the rest of the night and get up in the morning.
Right on, Kev.
Well, I guarantee we want to follow up. Maybe not this coming Tuesday. I know you're going to be busy, but one of these weeks we want to follow up and just get a behind-the-scenes look. I mean, I'm happy for you. I know that COVID did not do you any favors when it came to your career, so I'm really glad this is working out, and I hope it's been a great experience.
It's been great so far. I appreciate you guys having me on. Definitely reach out. We'll we're going to Knoxville for our next race. So you want to contact me after a dirt race? We go to Knoxville, then Eldora. So there'll be 2 dirt races back to back. That'd probably be a good time to get a hold of me, and you'll really know how I feel.
And hey, while you're away, snap some pictures. Just pull your phone out. If you see something unique, pull your phone out, grab a picture. If one of the drivers is about to haul off and slug another one, make sure you capture it for us.
I'll do the best I can. I got my plate's pretty full. We got a lot going on, and being the car chief of one of the cars is quite a bit of responsibility. So got to make sure everything's right and the driver's safe, and we don't have anything fall off the car, because that'd be bad.
Kev, just another question about, we talked about your career, and this is being a career change. With it being a limited season, is this a full-time year-round gig for you, or is this seasonal, or how's this going to work out for you in the long term?
Well, I think when it first started, like I said, I was sitting on the couch, and Tony called me up and said the guys needed help. And I was just like, well, I'm not really doing anything right now, so I'll come over. And it turned into like, well, we definitely need you till August. So I'm like, well, that's fine. And everybody's been pretty accepting and pretty good. And they're going to keep a bunch of people. I don't know exactly who stays and who goes, or maybe everyone stays. I'm not 100% sure, but I get the sense that they'd like to keep me. So we'll see. I don't know. At the end of this 6 races, maybe I don't want to stay. I don't know. It could get a little crazy, but at this point, it was just kind of seat of the pants thing, just to help out a friend that asked me that needed some help.
I got to ask Adam, Kevin, how are you just sitting on Tony Stewart's? As this interview comes to a close, I think our viewers would be pissed if we didn't ask, how is it that a guy, dirt sports and racer from New York, ends up on Tony Stewart's couch and just hanging out?
Well, Tony and I have been friends for a long time. We had a lot of mutual friends, and way back in the day, he bought a company, an RC car company that I raced for, and we'd go to these races and we'd hang out. So our relationship just grew from there. And obviously, whenever he's in town or whenever I'm down here and he's around, we go to dinner or something. We try to get together and just chat and see how each other's doing. And I guess our friendship just grew from there. So he's always told me what's his is mine. So I was down here and he said, "Oh, just go stay at the house," and that's where I ended up. That's where I'm staying now. Well, that's where I was staying up until we left for here. So he's been really good to me. He's a good friend, and I really appreciate everything he does for me. And hopefully he feels the same.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, Kevin, it sounds awesome. Fun. If nothing else, it'll be a memorable 3-4 months, whatever it winds up being. And you're doing something that not many people have got the chance to do.
That's exactly right, and that's how I've been looking at it. It's definitely an experience, and it's a startup thing. So you could always say I was part of the first season of that. So it'll be fun. We'll have a good time as long as we don't start tearing stuff up.
Right on, Kevin. Thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Right on, man. Good talking to you.
Well, Adam, always good to see our buddies do well, move up the racing ladder, and. I think Kevin's got quite the skill set that's going to serve him well out there with those guys. So, what are your thoughts on SRX this weekend?
People don't realize what a small community racing is. When you think about the millions and millions of people who watch the sport, break that down to the thousands of people who participate. It's a small community with a very big reach. So I didn't realize that about RC cars and Tony Stewart, but I know that Tony Stewart did a lot of racing up in the Northeast over the years. So,
yeah.
What do I think of this series? I want to see how it looks. I say this with no disrespect, Clinton, because I'm a huge professional wrestling fan. I am a huge fan of scripted entertainment.
Ooh,
American Ninja Warrior.
Whoa. You're saying it's scripted?
No, I'm saying I'm a huge fan of scripted entertainment.
Are you saying SRX is scripted?
No, I'm saying I don't know. I like so I love racing, which is not scripted, I love wrestling, which is scripted. So here's the two ends. I'm in here. I like both these things. I don't know. Give me one weekend to watch SRX, and I'll give you my honest opinion next week. I know what I would do if I was running a series that was going to be on national television.
What's that? Enlighten us.
I'd make sure it was a show.
Oh,
Nobody drives away, right? Nobody drives away. You got doors on the car, use them. We're here to put on a show, show your personality, do your thing. And we had this talk about Elio Castro Neves and his celebration. You could not have scripted that moment because it would have taken away from how genuine it was. So even though I enjoy, I have no problem with it being scripted because they haven't come out and said, oh, this is the Olympics of short track racing. This is pure athleticism. Bullshit. They're putting on a show. It's going to be on CBS. Let's watch and enjoy.
Yeah, I love the idea of 12 cars for the heat races. I'm concerned that as 12 cars for 100 laps, you're going to have much left there. You're just not leaving much fall off, if we can put it, or attrition. 3 or 4 cars getting a wreck, you got a real slim field there for 100 cars or 100 laps. So
yeah, and that's just I don't see there being wrecks unless at the end. And no, to answer Mike, I don't want a demolition derby. That's the last thing I want. But what I'm saying is I don't think you're going to see someone with a 5-second lead in any of these races. And to answer Julie, yes, I've been watching all of the wrestling biographies. I've found them really, really well done so far.
Yeah, and we were up and down on this program about where SRX was going to go. We said the cars didn't look good. For me, Spencer, can you show that SRX picture that we showed when Kevin was in with the cars and they're all matched and painted? Now I'm starting to get jazzed up. I mean, I can't wait to see 12 of them that look identical like that. It should be awesome to see. So,
I didn't like that. I didn't like that picture at all. No,
you don't like the colors of the cars or the way they're painted or what?
I'm gonna be super critical. I don't like that there's weeds growing up through the track in front of them. You know what I mean? Like, stage the damn thing. Show me something that gets me excited. Show them from a little bit of the fronts.
We're talking about the look of the cars, not the composition of the picture. Someone snapped this from the hillside and shared it on social. That's not a promo picture that they were sharing out.
Someone should have cropped it to show it.
So do you crop everything you show? No, you snap it and put it up.
No, if I put up a gallery, they're cropped.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just picking on you, but I asked you, did you like the color of the cars, the design, the shape, and all you can talk about are the weeds growing out of the pavement and the composition of the car?
I don't get a great idea of the shape of the car, and I have a feeling they may not look like that on Saturday. I'd be shocked if they look like that on Saturday.
What do you mean look like that on Saturday? You talking graphics or body shape?
Graphics.
Oh, well, maybe that will change, but they look pretty done to me.
Don't ask me a question and then get mad at my answer.
I bait you in so I can get mad at your answer.
It's all good.
Let's move it over. Delaware Speedway announced this week ownership news. The APC group has bought in. Delaware Speedway has been a staple in Canadian motorsports and stock car racing since 1952, hosting some of the country's top touring series. Wow, that is hard to read for me. A new partnership group, the Delaware Group, consisting of a few owners there. I can't really read it out. And the United Racing Series, which is a big deal for us with Luke and his faction to get in there. And also Russ Erlin and his deal will still be general manager. I think this is exciting news in Ontario, Adam, when there's still a lot of question about what was going to happen with Chukasa. They're parked for the season. Then you look at, this definitely brings a bit of solidity to Delaware, a place that last year there was rumors it wasn't going to make it. They shut down for the entire year. They parked equipment in there. It was kind of, I don't want to insult anybody, kind of derelict from the racing side of things, right?
Delaware Speedway has a fantastic vibe. That hill there's not a lot of seats at Delaware. It's that hill, and when the fans fill the hill all the way from turn 4 all the way down through turn 1 almost to turn 2, the layout is amazing. You can see everything. Does it need a couple of tweaks? Yeah, it needs a couple of tweaks, and who better to do it than a group of business people from London who love the sport of auto racing, have corporate involvement. I think it's fantastic. I'm really glad to see this. I'm glad Russ Erlin is still involved, because Russ is still pretty passionate about racing, Clint.
Yeah, I'm excited to see them revamp this place. They're talking about new paving and improvements. It's going to be really good next year. Obviously, we'll survive this year and get through. But like you said, a lot of character, a lot of bumping and grinding going on there. We'll be there for the APC opener on Friday, July 2nd. The other thing I take from this, as you and I know, Luke, he's all about hosting his corporate guests at these events. So the hospitality side is going to get a revamp and be ready to go. And the creature comforts from the fan side in the next couple of seasons are probably going to be amazing at Delaware. So we're excited to be a part of it from the GeForce side, excited to be bringing the excitement to you fans, and we'll be kicking that off on July 2nd.
And importantly, London, Ontario is a very important racing market. In Canada, there is no stronger short track market than London, Ontario.
Yeah, a lot of racers come down from that neck of the woods, right? And, basically the home of CASCAR all those years. And so it'll be exciting. Congrats to all the people we're involved with in that. And good luck to them. We'll be happy to be alongside them and, promote the place for them. Moving on. When the track becomes a river. This was Spa, the Formula One course in France, Adam. And this is some wild video footage. Check this out. Like, water is coming out of everywhere at the Speedway. Just some crazy track footage.
Yeah, that is unreal. Like not knowing the landscape around there. It's
I believe it's near the Rouge River, and that is the maybe the Red River overflowing into the race course. But wow, that is some wild rain. I think about it was almost like that at Daytona there last year in 2020 on the Sunday when it poured rain. I've never seen rain like that. Unbelievable. It just filled that speedway in no time. But that was crazy. Spas in Belgium. Thank you. All right. Burger Barn video of the week, Adam.
That was a chocolate river. It's Belgium.
Go.
That's where all the good chocolate comes from.
Burger Barn video of the week. This takes us back to the go-karting roots again. Dad says, you can go turn 1 flat out. The kid says, what, are you crazy? Let's see it. Whoa! Now, that's just terrible course layout. Play that again, Spencer, a couple times. Now, who thought this would be a good idea? Like you're rolling into the abutment of an overpass.
Man, and that's a parked go-kart on the right-hand side.
Can you stop it on the last frame or so, Spencer? Can you pause that? I don't know if we have that ability. Just pause it there. Perfect.
Right there.
Okay, so right in the center of the screen. Even if he didn't go all the way to the right, look at that one right at the apex of the turn. The huge abutment right in the middle. Like, wow. And this takes me back to, probably I think it was back to the Waterloo karting days when you guys used to race through the streets, right? Was it ever anything that crazy out there?
In Barrie, Herbsville Cartway, just outside of Kitchener. It had a bridge that you went under. It was a gnarly place, man. There was the stage was set for bad things to happen.
Oof. Like, gee, that is just scary.
I'm just going to send it.
He sent it, all right. That was our Burger Barn video of the week. Burger Barn is open once again for outdoor dining and soon to be indoor dining, we believe. Their outdoor tables are open and ready for you. If you want to go to Burger Barn, check it out. Great place to sit. Have some of the best food in Ontario. All right. What if Bieber liked racing, Adam? This was a picture that got tweeted. It isn't Bieber, but we're talking about back when we were kids. When I was 15, there was no bigger rock star in the world than Poison's Bret Michaels. Put it up, Spence. So this came from Brett Michaels, and it was a picture of him standing out front of Williams Grove Speedway and said, you know, when you always got to check it out, always got to visit Williams Grove Speedway when we're back here. Lots of great memories here. And I love that the World of Outlaw says, wait a minute, you were a posse? Sorry about all the L's, meaning like, hey, World of Outlaw versus Pennsylvania Posse. What do you mean, Brett Michaels, you're a posse guy? How can that be? But so that brought me a topic, Adam. We were talking about it. You know, what if Justin Bieber said, I love late models on asphalt, or I love sprint car racing? What could that do for our sport? It would bring so many eyes had Brett Michaels back in, I guess it would have been 1988 or 9, said, hey, you know what? I love to go to Williams Grove Speedway. How many people would have found the Speedway because of that? You know, are we really just one influential influencer rock star away from breaking the sport wide open? That's just...
I've got a few things. I got a few things to say about this. One, Glenn Donnelly did a pretty good job back in the day. They had some big concerts at Weedsport Speedway. So, not saying they endorsed racing, but a lot of people knew where the Speedway was because they'd gone there to see Kiss or Joan Jett, or, you know, I know you've been to shows there. So there is that kind of crossover if you're looking for it. Brian Johnson from AC/DC, huge into road racing. He's run the 24 Hours of Daytona, I believe.
Yep.
And quite often you don't see that necessarily from the AC/DC promo people, but from the racing promo people say, look, here's Brian Johnson. So there is quite a bit of that happened. I want to tell you 2 stories from my NASCAR Canada days. Way back in the beginning, there was rumbling that Shania Twain might show up at one of our races. Word had got out that she was a big racing fan and she wanted to come to an event. And that was a time NASCAR was different, man. Back in 06 when they came in and bought CASCAR, and then the series started in 07, there was a lot of rules. Like, they filled you with a lot of information. This is how we want you to do this. This is how you got to do this. This is the NASCAR way. So you were often being prepared for things that were never going to happen, but it was kind of a do's and don't. It was good to have that background. That was one of the things the first couple of years. Hey, be prepared. Shania Twain may show up out of the blue. It's not going to be made a big deal of until she's actually here. And then and then obviously you may get the chance to talk to her. You know, be ready for it. So it's interesting to see that. The other thing is what happens when the race announcer is a complete idiot. We were at the Toronto Indy. It was the first year back doing the Toronto Indy. And they said, and I may screw this up, Robert Pattinson was in town. Was he the one from, what movies was he in?
Twilight. Pattinson.
Pattinson. That's what they said. We're going to need you not to go all fanboy. I said, who's going to be here? Like, I had no idea that the biggest star in the world, right? But they had to make sure that I wasn't going to go gushing over him. As it turned out, he didn't show up, but I was clueless. I was too old already. But it's interesting, the close calls and the near misses that there are.
How sad is it that I knew that? I used to watch those movies with Christine.
No, all good. I did some research on him after the fact. That he's kind of a big deal.
One of my favorite things to do when I'm at the movies with Chris is wait.
Stop.
Okay. So these are like girly movies, right? Romance novels, and there's the one hunky boy, and as soon as he takes his shirt off, I stand up in the theater and go, "Oh yeah!" And my wife's like, "Sit down." She's so embarrassed. Anyways. What an announcer don't need. We're down to a couple topics, Adam. So this brings us to a discussion you and I had today. We were talking about, grooming the next generation of announcers, and, you don't need to have a great voice. You don't need this. You don't need that. What do you need and what don't you need, Guru Adam? Enlighten us, sir.
Yikes. So the reason this came up, Clint, is I've been watching a ridiculous amount of racing. I subscribe to Flow Racing. I subscribe to Dirt Vision. I subscribe to NBC Track Pass Gold. I was surprised there's no racing to watch tonight. And I've been shocked. I won't critique an announcer. Can we pick on Gary Calling? Let's pick on him because he's easy to pick on. He broke into announcing in the last number of years, say 5 years ago. And I worked with him some, and Rob Howden worked with him some. You've worked with different people, worked with him, and he developed a style. And you kind of knew as you were listening to him, okay, here's someone who's honing his craft. Good for you. Keep picking up what you can from people you listen to. I know my announcing has changed a great deal over the course of 20 years. So I have no problem with that because new people have to come in. I think I get more irritable over people who have been at it a long time and they just do a terrible job, Clint. They like they're following rules that aren't really rules. Like, now you can share some opinion, call a spade, call what's going on the track, call the action. It's even hard for me to describe, but all you have to be is real. Like your voice doesn't matter. As long as the words coming out are English and people can understand them, you don't need to sound like the biggest voice in the world. Just put your words out there and call what you're seeing and enjoy yourself. And it's a tough topic for us to even discuss.
No, I think you're not wrong. I think one thing that we have developed over the years is authenticity. We really try and keep things as real as possible. And, even from the segments we film on GeForce, how many times are we talking to each other and say, come on, man, is this really going to be authentic? And that's really what we strive for, because the sport's got so much, natural drama and authenticity that we don't really need to fabricate a lot in racing. It's already all there.
Have we talked?
Go ahead.
Have we talked on the show about what we did for the opening of the first MAV TV race? I know we've talked about it in private.
I'm sure we have, yeah. So how we staged it, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah, so they wanted us on our first live MAV TV broadcast in 2019. They wanted us to get all the crowd around, and we do a big opener with Greg and Adam in the stands, and all the fans had signs, and we did the 3, 2, 1, everybody scream, and we had a stage director trying to pump up the crowd, and it was so foolish. We look back on it, and I just, when we watched on the replay, we're like, we're not doing that again. We would never do that. It was so just not real. If it makes sense. And I think there's so many things you can do. And you're right, Adam. And, I look at some of the up and coming guys that are coming up. One guy I'm a fan of is Jonathan Howe here from the Niagara region. He came out of nowhere. And I remember the first night I heard him on video on one of Sean Robertson's videos. And I remember it might have been Fran or it was Stephen Petty. And I said, hey, who's the new guy? Because, we know most of the guys. And like, oh, just some new guy, John. And I think he's come a long way in a couple of short seasons. I'll tell you a funny story about our buddy Gary Calling. I broke him in, just like I broke you in all those years ago. Gary's my first night. So I'd parted ways with Rivalz Speedway after 15 years, and Caselli hired me. So I went to work at Flamborough. And the first night I was there, I'm getting all set up, and Brenda's in the tower, and we're getting all set up, and I'm ready for my first big night, and all of a sudden Gary comes in, jolly Gary. Hey, how's it going? I'm Gary. I said, how you doing? He goes, I'm the announcer. And I'm like, I thought I was the announcer. He goes, yeah, Frank said I could come up and help you, and you teach me. And I'm like, okay then. So Gary became my co-announcer that night, and right away I realized, okay, like you said, the skills are a bit green on the mic, but one thing working the rest of that season that Gary had that I could never get was the relationships and the onion layers of that speedway. So, someone who just knows everybody and knows who's connected to everybody and knows that, oh yeah, he was married to that girl whose dad drove this car. And those are all the things that you can never find. You can be the best announcer in the world, but you're never going to be great till you know all those inside stories. And sometimes you can't be great until you do it for a long time. And, a guy who takes a lot of flack is Johnny Gibson, but he's got the benefit of going with that tour all those years. He's concentrating on that one shot. And that's where we have it. I think that's what helps us out at Oshweekend is we know the guy's father who raced there because we called his races back in the day. So we're calling the sons. And, that's one thing that an announcer I learned that night at Flamborough. Like, you can never replace the years of knowledge you may have, the insight about the people,
And let's say this. Let me be clear. I'm gonna answer a couple of comments here, and then I want to talk about how I like when people disagree with me, Clinton, and not you, but it wouldn't show. But Doug Erskine says you mean like Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas to me is kind of a one-man show. He does his thing. I'm still a little bitter. He has me blocked on Twitter, and I really wish I knew why. Like, it bothers me enormously that I'm blocked by someone. I don't know if anyone else has me blocked on Twitter.
What could you have done to
click on. I don't know. Norris McDonald for the Toronto Star, when he tweets stuff out, he always hashtag or attaches Joel Robinson, Eric Thomas, Juliana Shavidi. There's a few of them. So I like to click to see what people are up to. And I don't have access to Eric Thomas's tweets. It's like, boy, when did that happen? Because I've done things that some people I could see why they would, but and tater salad. I've gone on a long-winded rant about how I feel like announcers are potato salad. But what were we going to talk about? Shit, I knew I should have answered that first.
I don't remember.
Yes, man. And again, it's a topic that we talk about. I don't know that I'm too real, but I don't want someone to agree with me all the time. You'd have to be half corked to agree with me all the time, because I say a lot of things that intentionally will draw some reaction or draw some passion. And I'm blown away, Clint, by the number of people in the industry who I see. They just want people around them that heap love at them, right? And love in the form of kissing their ass. And I'm the farthest from that. I would sooner someone come up and say, I can't believe you said this. Like, yes, you listened. Now I'm gonna listen to what they say. Why do you disagree with that? But for one, it tells me that person's engaged, that person's listening, and they cared enough to come up and talk to me about it. So even if they come up angry, like, yeah, let's talk about this. This is amazing. That's what I want to be.
Yeah, I think being real is the big thing. Being yourself has a lot to do with it too. We've talked about it lots of times. Just get up and say what's on your mind. I always looked at us as, fans in the stands. I'm in the top row bleachers with all you guys. I just happen to have a microphone that lets you hear me over the race cars. That's all. And hey, did you see that? Did you know that was going on over there? Pretty awesome. But so to answer some of the other questions, we do need some more up-and-coming announcers. So if you think you got it,
yep, send
it to us. Mate, that's Adam Ross's new reality show. Be an announcer with Adam Ross, and he's gonna see what happens.
I like Doug Erskine. He thinks I'm funny. That's what I want too. Nobody wants to tell a joke and have nobody laugh. And I've said this before, but to me, the ultimate is when Greg Callan's laughing so hard he can't speak, or he's so shocked that he doesn't know what to say, or same with you. I get off on that. Like, I just do.
I was explaining to my wife, Christine, how we are totally 4 marbles from different corners of the earth, the 4 of us. After our Zoom meeting last night, like, it's not like 2 are black and 2 are white. We're all 4 very separate shades of gray that somehow come together to put a dot on the page. But, when I look at you versus me versus Greg versus Spencer, not one of us are from the same cut, So it's fun.
Yeah, most of us would not, we wouldn't throw a very good party.
Speak for yourself, bud. I can throw a bash. No, you're just getting old.
I meant if it was just the 4 of us. we would, we're not. I have great respect.
We got verbal jabs coming out the ass between the 4 of us, but we'd probably be pretty boring after we're done insulting each other for 20 minutes. Final topic, daily Twitter. Connor Daly tweets something here, Adam, and you brought it up. Connor Daly says, Elliott versus Larson over the next 10 years is something I'm here for NASCAR. Connor Daly, IndyCar driver. So, Adam, that is pretty much what we had talked about, why that's an important tweet. This is an IndyCar guy remarking about two NASCAR drivers and saying why he's a fan. That's kind of big and important.
Why he's invested for 10 years. When was the last time? When was the last time you can think of, oh yeah, that's the rivalry that's going to keep me coming back? Like it's been Kyle Busch versus the world, right? Jeff,
Do we go back to
in my
Earnhardt
mind,
and Jeff Gordon? You know, that's probably the last time we had this, right?
And that was the catalyst. That was the rocket ship that launched NASCAR. And I'm not saying Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott are going to do that, but I'm saying it's a start, right? And we disagreed before the show came on. And I won't repeat what you said, but I will say,
no, I'll
I
ask
think
the question. The question I said was, can you be real and think that Elliott can be as good as Larson in the long term? And it brings up other discussions. NASCAR head-to-head is one discussion. All-around overall driver is a whole other discussion. But if you just look at NASCAR head-to-head, is Elliott every bit of driver that Larson is in NASCAR? And you and Spencer said absolutely.
I'm a big believer in the skills of Chase Elliott. Let me tell you what has me. I love racing. It's a little disappointing that so many of these stars have famous last names. Okay. And I'm not saying Ryan Blaney hasn't paid his dues. I'm not saying Chase Elliott hasn't paid his dues. They've done it in a different way. Look at Kyle Larson. Why is Kyle Larson so popular right now? Because he has an identity. Because his wife shotguns a beer every time he wins a race. Because he's out there racing dirt. A lot of the stars in NASCAR today, they didn't get their start anywhere. They got their start in grade 5 because after that, they were being groomed to be professional racers. Well, what's your personality? Who are you? Right? Joey Logano didn't have a personality till he turned 25. Right? Like now he's finally starting to seem human.
Well,
that's where
NASCAR was built back on guys like we have with Stuart Friesen now today. A guy who dominated his home track region, kicked everybody's ass, and then they said, hey, you ought to move off to Beverly and see if you can cut it down south, and that's where they'd all go. You know, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, they were all superstars in the ASA before they ever tried to go. Darrell Waltrip whipped everybody's ass at Nashville and brought a huge following to NASCAR. You know, we don't have that in these kids' days, and that's probably why the sport's hurting too, because these guys are coming up. But back to the point, Elliott. I love the kid, super polite. I mean, great ambassador for the sport, says the right things all the time. I just haven't seen the electricity, the holy shit, that kid's amazing that we've seen from Larson in anything Larson does. So Elliott's steady and you know, he runs the pace and does what it takes to win. But Larson is hanging the ass end out at every track, every week. He's got that factor. And if I'm wrong, show me where I'm missing it with Elliott. The other thing I want you to comment on too, Adam, is when you go back to the Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, you clearly had age and the black hat versus young and the white hat. The bad guy versus the good guy. We don't really have that with Larson. I mean, and Elliott. No, Elliott's obviously the good guy in this situation. If there's a bad guy, it was Larson over his trials last year. But if you take out the political side of what happened to Larson last year, they're both very polite, grounded, soft-spoken kids. You know what I mean? Like, and I realize you can't swipe what Larson did under the rug. I'm just saying, if you took that away, their attitude is pretty cool.
Here's what is great about the Larson story is everybody loves someone who has earned a second chance. And Kyle Larson went away. He took his penalty. He left. He didn't stop racing. He went and did other things. Forgiveness is an amazing thing, right? And he will continue to earn that forgiveness as he goes. And I think he's been true when he speaks. Like, I think I've never seen Kyle Larson say something and thought, oh, that's scripted. Someone wrote that for him. He's pretty natural. And I think we're in a time where you don't necessarily have to have a bad guy. White hat, black hat is the easiest way to create a rivalry. But to go back to the wrestling biographies I've been watching, when Ultimate Warrior faced Hulk Hogan, they were two of the biggest good guys ever.
Yep.
Right? In a huge match that people loved, it was good versus good, and you can still make it compelling. So you're right. The easiest way to build a rivalry is with a bad person and a good person. Mush them together, tell the story, and let the fans get excited. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I'm saying both of these youngsters are pretty relevant, but I've even seen it on some of the F1 stuff I've been watching where they say kart racing is absolutely ridiculous right now. Like, nobody can afford, there is not a sport in the world right now that is more elite than auto racing.
Yeah.
It was not always that way.
It is that way now. You know, you really got to be smoking good. But even there, how are you even going to get a chance unless you got some money to even try? So, tough deal. iRacing.
And here's
got a few of them there.
And here's another thing about scripts. I know I'm a bit of a homer when I say this, but Alex LeBay in a green-white checker at, where were they, Road America on the weekend, went from 27th to 11th. And they barely talk about it.
And road course racing lately.
I love it, but I just wish, come on, someone talk about LeBay. Like, he's doing great things in equipment that is not as good as those he's racing against. Those are the sort of things that drive me nuts. And I know there's a lot going on in a car race when announcers call a race, but come on, look at the whole picture. You gotta see it all. You gotta give credit where credit's due, not just because someone is scripted as the next big thing.
Right on. Well, let's wrap it up. We appreciate everybody hanging up with us tonight. We are less than a couple weeks from our first race of the season here on GeForce TV, and me making my debt good for Adam. So anyways, I think it's going to wrap it up for the show. Adam, another good spirited debate. 20 minutes ago, I didn't think we were going to make it to 9. Here we are over time. So another good evening.
Yeah, good chat, man. Enjoyed it, folks. I'll have an update, Clinton, because Connor and I are planning on going testing this weekend in the Vintage Modified. So, yeah, it's getting real. It's here.
All right, bud. Thanks, Spencer, for everything you do. We'll see everybody next week. Don't forget, subscribe to GeForce TV and get us here on the channel. Talk to you soon.